So we are on step 2 for a glitter tumbler. If you are finding this and you have not watched the first video, I recommend you stop. Go back and find the first video. I will put a link in the caption to this video so you can find it easily. Watch that one first. In that video, we prep the cup and we do the loose glitter application. And so we've let it dry now a little longer than we really needed to. It's been maybe 14 hours since I last did the cup. 12 hours is probably good, but I have spent literally the last 4.5 hours answering questions on that post and private messages and whatnot, so it took me a little longer to get to this than I had intended. But here's our cup. My light's really bright. It's hard to see just how gorgeous this is. I'm going to try to take some still photos and post them in the comments. Hopefully I can get them at the top of the comments. But it is a holographic silver glitter. And I'll go a little more in depth with the glitter. I've had a lot of questions about that. But I want to get to the step first, so those that don't want to hear all the extra stuff can turn the video off after we're done. So we're going to go back to our workspace. And last night I mentioned that I usually use a spinner when I'm spraying. And so I brought it in here, and this is just a, let me move this closer. This is just a homemade Lazy Susan. Nothing fancy to it. It's just 2 wooden boards with a Lazy Susan mechanism inside. I looked before I filmed. You can get a plastic Lazy Susan on Amazon. It's $4.99 as an add-on item if you're Prime. I've seen them at Walmart. I've seen them at Big Lots. I've seen them at Target. Bed Bath & Beyond. You can get them just about anywhere. It doesn't need to be this big or this fancy, but it is nice to be able to spin your cup when you spray it instead of having to pick it up. And if you're painting or glittering the bottom of the cup, you don't really have anything to grab onto. You have to pick it up here. So this makes it easy when you're doing that. And so again, we are using Krylon. It is the triple thick crystal clear glaze. There's several different brands of triple thick. It doesn't have to be this brand. It doesn't even necessarily have to be triple thick. There is a Glitter Blast Clear. Hold on. This is the actual spray glitter. It is the Glitter Blast Diamond Dust. I ordered this on Amazon. I've seen it at Walmart. I saw it at AC Moore. Not sure where else I've seen it. But this is the Diamond Dust, and I've used this when I paint a mug. But they make a clear, which is a glitter sealer. They have other glitter sealers at the craft stores that you can use. On my wine glasses, I've even used just a clear acrylic spray. And I've had this one for years and years and years. It's got a Hobby Lobby price tag on it. It says $5.99. But again, it would be probably near the acrylic paints in any craft store. You could use that as well. Again, the purpose of this is just to make the glitter stick to the cup. So when you go to brush on your epoxy, I use sponge brushes, and that sponge brush has those little holes, and it'll pick up pieces of glitter, and then those pieces of glitter will float in the epoxy. And I don't want that look on my cup, and I don't want the glitter in my brush. And so this just tells the glitter to stay and not move around. I'm going to shake it really good. So I'm just going to, anytime you're spraying something, the trick is to do very light coats and keep the can moving. Don't hold the can in one spot. Your first coat is always going to be lighter. And I'm going to make a video of me spray painting and spray glittering a tumbler as well. Try to do that between now and when my epoxy comes, so you can kind of have both methods to decide which one's going to work best for you. So I'm just going to spray, turn and spray, and I'm keeping my can moving, and I'm keeping my cup moving. Again, you don't have to have a Lazy Susan. If you watched the first video, you saw I just picked my cup up and moved it. Wasn't a big deal. If you set it on a tarp or something in your backyard, you can just walk around it. Because I'm doing this here, I put up this board in the back to keep the stuff in the other room from getting sprayed. So I'm kind of stuck in this one spot. It kind of dulls the glitter at first, but as it dries, the glitter starts to sparkle again. And even if it does appear to dull it just a little bit, that's okay, because the epoxy is going to really make it pop. And the epoxy step is the wow step. It's a lot of questions of, can you seal these with something else? Do I have to use epoxy? Try it. You can try anything. See what happens. Report back for everybody else. But epoxy is water resistant. It is bang proof. It is dent proof. It is permanent for the most part. There are solvents that you can use to remove it, such as acetone. They make special solvents to remove epoxy. I've never tried them, but it's not going anywhere. So epoxy really is an integral part of doing the tumblers, and we're going to get into all the different types of epoxy that I've tried in the next video. So several of you have asked which epoxy I use, and I have kind of skirted the question, and I'm not doing that to be rude. I'm doing that because I've tried several, and they each have their pros and cons. And then there's the whole, and I even hate bringing it up, the whole debate about food safe. And I have my own opinions on that, and I'm going to try to keep them to myself because this is for educational purposes. But I guess it depends on personal preference, but I'm going to go over the different kinds, and I've got a new kind coming in on Friday that we're going to learn together with, but I'm going to show you the ones that I've used in the past as well. But for those of you that are itching to buy, the one that I've seen a lot of success with is the Alumilite Clear Cast, which you can get at Hobby Lobby, Michael's. You guys have bumped it into the #1 best-selling spot in epoxies on Amazon. It's always about $19, $20 around there. Of course, Michael's and Hobby Lobby, you can use a coupon. Amazon will ship it to you. If you're Prime, you get it in 2 days. But that one seems to be really popular. You can also buy it direct from Alumilite. Just Google Alumilite and the website will pull up. But make sure you're getting the Alumilite Clear Cast. I have not worked with it, but I have seen a lot of success with it, and it works a lot like one of the epoxies I've used in the past. So that should work. I've been talking because this has been drying. I'm really not just trying to run my mouth. So I let the first coat dry for a few minutes, and I'm just going to do it one more time. Spray and turn. Alright, nice good coat on there. And that's it. So that's pretty much it for this step. I would let this sit a minimum of 12 hours before moving on to the epoxy step, but again, we have to wait until Friday. But I always give at least 12 hours between steps to give everything a chance to really dry. And a lot of aerosols contain propellants and other chemicals to get them from the can onto your item that you're spraying, and those are intended to evaporate. And you have to give it a chance to breathe and evaporate. You can get cracking and other issues if you move too fast and don't let things dry. So again, we're just going to let that sit for a couple days because we have to. It's killing me. This is going to look amazing when it is done, but it's pretty cool. So I'm going to address a few of the questions that kept coming up in the previous video. So if you don't have any more questions, feel free to turn me off. If you had some questions or you just want to hear me talk, stick around. A big one was a lot of questions about the glitter. And I have not given a specific link to buy the glitter because I buy it from several different suppliers. I have a few on eBay, I have a few on Etsy, and I've even bought them from Amazon. And I really don't want to favor one over the other. And I'd like to talk to them because I know how this group is. As soon as something's mentioned, you can't find it. You guys buy out everything. I remember going into a Dollar Tree in December, and I wasn't going to do the elves or anything, but I was curious of what they looked like in person. Not a one in the store. And the Valentine's little stuffed animals, they're not in the store. That's not really my market, so I'm not worried about that. But the red truck stuff at Christmas, y'all were buying up. The Biggie Perler beads, y'all were buying those up. The tumblers, when they go on sale somewhere, I mean, y'all right on. But I want to talk to my suppliers and make sure they can kind of handle the demand. And I'm going to compile a list of everything that I use and where you can get it. And hopefully I can include some links then. But in the meantime, if you just want to hop on the Google and you want to look up solvent resistant glitter. This kind of glitter is holographic, comes in a lot of different colors. It doesn't have to be holographic. You can use metallic. You can use a shimmer glitter. You can use anything. But solvent resistant. And solvent resistant isn't a one and only. You can use regular craft glitter. If that's what you have access to and that's what's in your budget, then by all means, use craft glitter. I use it on my wine glasses. And again, this bright light really dulls the glitter. These are pretty amazing in person. But these are wine glasses I ordered on Amazon. These are done with glitter. And the craft glitter. I used this one's from Walmart. It's the square box of glitter. This one's from Hobby Lobby. It's the round with the black label. Hold on. Walmart glitter. I think it's like $3 for 2.5 ounces. Hobby Lobby glitter. This is 2 ounces for $2.99. And they've worked fine. But I don't epoxy my wine glasses. It's wine glasses don't get used like a tumbler does. They're not getting carried around and thrown in the car and used quite the same. This was one of the first ones that I did. It is a white paint and glitter. And this brings up another question that I get asked a lot about the decal, and I'll get into that in a second. But I always have a tumbler in my hand. I hated these things before I started painting them. I hated aluminum tumblers or stainless steel tumblers, but they keep my coffee hot and I love it. But this is one of the reasons why I've changed my epoxy, is because coffee has run down the side and you can't see it. Maybe you can, but it has stained my epoxy. And if this were a pink cup or a purple cup or even this holographic glitter, you wouldn't be able to see it. But white is my all-time favorite color in the history of the world. My office is entirely white, and I just can't handle the coffee stains. So I'm trying a new epoxy that's supposed to be stain resistant. So we'll see how that goes. But back to the glitter. So this bag, and I've used quite a bit of it, but it's got measurements on it. It goes up to 1 cup, and it was, if you were to flatten it out, you know, it wasn't bulging, but it was full. This is 100 grams. And they do glitter by weight, not volume. So it's 100 gram weight of glitter. And I'm not really good at metric. That's maybe not quite 3 ounces, just over 3 ounces. And yeah, this is 2.5. Oh, 70 grams. So I guess this is a little more than 3 ounces when it was full. Of course, I've used it. So that tells you what you're looking for. But again, if you're wanting to do my method, then I use the solvent resistant. This is not the only way to do tumblers. This is not the only way to do glitter. My way is definitely not the way. It is my way of what I have found through trial and error that works for me. And so that's what I do. And if you have another way you want to do it, if you want to do the glitter my way and do the epoxy somebody else's way, that's absolutely fine. There's no end all be all to doing the cup application. So some of the other things that people have asked about is the adhesive. This is the one I've been using. It is Loctite spray adhesive. It is a high initial tack. This is the high performance middle weight bonding. Says it's for metal. It's worked really well. This can has probably done maybe 6 tumblers and a dozen wine glasses, and I don't even think it's half empty yet. And it had been used before I started on it with this. So a gentleman brought up last night a point about ventilation or wearing a mask, and it's a good point. My boyfriend and I do a lot of projects. We've got wood lathes, metal lathes, saws, scroll saw. He does leather work, metal work, and all that stuff. So we have a heavy duty air filter that runs usually whenever we're down here, but it's really loud, so I turn it off for the video. But if you are working in a enclosed space or you're doing a bunch of these at once, you do want to have some kind of mask. And so I have a couple of these because, again, there's 2 of us, so we're usually working down here together. But you can get these at the hardware store. Probably get one at Harbor Freight. And the filters come out and they're replaceable. Just depends on how much you use them. These are by 3M. But there is acetone in the adhesive, which is part of what helps it spray, and the acetone does evaporate, but you don't want to be breathing a lot of that in. So just be smart about it. Again, we usually have a heavy-duty air filter going. I've got windows behind me, you can see, and it's about a 1,000 square foot space down here, so we're not in a real tight, closed-in environment. But just be smart and be safe about it. Another adhesive that I have down here is, this is a 3M. It's the Super 77 adhesive. And again, use whatever brand you want. Get what's on sale or get what's accessible to you. You just want to make sure that it's permanent. The repositionable adhesive that a lot of people use to re-sticky their mats is not what you want. You want to get something that is permanent. I have not tried, but I do have the Elmer's. I use this. I do sublimation, and I use this in my sublimation. But again, it is a permanent spray adhesive. This might be more readily available if you're only going to craft stores. And if you really, really, really hate aerosol, you could try something like the E6000 spray adhesive that's not an aerosol. So it's just a pump spray. And again, I haven't tried it for this, but spray adhesive is spray adhesive. And I'm sure you could get into the different nuances of each one, but the whole point is just to get the glitter to stick. We're going to be coating in an epoxy, so the epoxy is going to keep it there. But we just need the adhesive to keep it on the cup until we get to that point. So, another question I had, somebody asked me about the acetone, if it was like the nail polish kind, and no, it's not. This is acetone. And this comes from Hobby Lobby or Home Depot or Lowe's. And this is, I've had this for years, and it's not even like a third of the way used. You do want to use some kind of ventilation or do it outside if you're using this. It'll burn your lungs, kind of like sniffing ammonia. If you ever ruin a cup and need to strip it, you can use this. But this is real good, and I'll show you, if it comes up, how I use this to clean up epoxy while it's still malleable when I'm doing it on the cup. If it leaks under the tape, or if it drips onto a part of the cup that I don't want the epoxy, I use a little bit of this in a foam brush just to clean it off. And so this is good to have on hand. And I'm sure there's some other questions that I wanted to cover and I didn't write them down, but I'm happy to answer them in the comments. As you can see, I have tried to answer every single question that's come up in the last video, and if I missed yours, I'm sorry. You can always tag me for me to see it again. Some of the things, again, I'm not going to tell you what kind of epoxy I use yet. I promise I will. I'm not holding out on you completely. I'm just making you be patient. But some of the things that I do use when I epoxy is I buy these cups. I got these at Walmart. It's they're 18 ounces. They don't have to be that big. This is just what I grabbed. But I like these to mix the epoxy in because they don't have a ton of those little ridges at the bottom. You know, some cups have a bunch of them. This one just has a few. But I mix it in here, and I've seen people take, they take the two cups side by side, and they pour the part 1 in this cup, and they pour the part 2 in the other cup, and they try to get them even, and then they pour from one to the other. A big component of successful epoxy application is having your ratios correct. Most epoxies are a 1-to-1 ratio, some are a 1-to-2 ratio, but you can't eyeball it. And then when you pour it from one cup into another, you're losing product that sticks to the inside of the cup you poured from. And so now your ratios are off more than they were. You don't need the whole bottle to do a cup. 8-ounce epoxy kit would probably cover 10, 12, 15 cups, depending on how many coats of epoxy you do, how big your tumbler is, how thick of a coat you're applying, and that kind of thing. So once you mix it, you can't save it. You only need to do a little bit at a time. So when I first started, I used my kitchen scale, but then I went and bought a scale at Harbor Freight. I think it was $10, but it's just a little scale, and it has grams, ounces, and whatnot. And so I put it on grams. It's taking a minute to catch up. So I take my scale and again I put mine on grams, and then you put your cup on the scale and you tare. So we're at 0. So for a painted tumbler, and probably for this one because the glitter's so fine, I'll probably do, I'm not sure, I'm not even going to give you a number yet, maybe 1/4 ounce of each if I'm using a 1-to-1, but I pour the thinner one in the cup first, and so it gets poured in. I see what my weight is, and then I tare it and I add the second one to it so it matches whatever. If I went, and I'm just throwing a number out there, so don't use this as your measurement. If I went to 0.5, tare it, pour the next one into 0.5, so that I'm getting an exact ratio and they're in the same cup, so that I'm not losing product when I pour from one cup to the other. And then I stir with wooden popsicle sticks. You can get them in bulk at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, anywhere like that, even the grocery store. And I stir with that, and we're going to get into all the nuances of how to mix, but something that, if you're trying to follow along, some things that you might want to have when you do your epoxy. And again, I'm sure I missed some stuff, and I feel like I'm babbling, and I don't want to bore anybody, so I'm going to sign off. But please ask questions in the video. Please help refer people to the first video if they haven't seen it yet. And again, my next video, I'm going to try to do spray paint and spray glitter. And then hopefully we can epoxy both of those at the same time together on Friday. So that would be my goal. So we'll see how it goes. But everybody has been super nice and very supportive. And I really appreciate all of the wonderful comments and morale boosters and everything like that. So thank you so much. And until next time.